Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Royal Instinct. Today we're going to be watching another breakdown of Dr. K, who I believe has the worst take, the worst dating advice on the internet. We are breaking down two of his videos, how to get a girlfriend and why sharing your feelings is a bad thing to do, apparently. And if we have time, we might get into a third one. But Dr. K, he positions himself as an intellectual, as somebody who is a therapist, somebody who understands psychology very much. And I don't doubt he's got the right credentials, but the way he interprets that information and then gives advice, outdated advice to his clients, to his followers, I believe is very damaging. He does not understand the plight, the situation of his followers, of the people that watch his content. Last time he was trying to tell you to get in arranged marriage because he had anecdotal evidence of people that he met who had a 40-year-old marriage, that they've been married for a prolonged amount of time. And then when I done the calculations, it turned out that those people were baby boomers, that those people were somebody who'd been married since the 1980s, right? Way before any of you watching his content have been born. Most likely the people, their parents of the people that is his audience before they were even married. Okay. So it is a funny situation to point out the hypocrisy, to point out the mistakes that he is making. But let's jump into this video. Maybe he has something better to say this time. Maybe he has some more relevant advice. Let's have a look what he is talking about.
To flirt. I'm going to become a pickup artist. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to make more money. And they're going to look at it. I say, I did all these things. Well, where's the girlfriend? I'm confused. Someone told me that if I do these three things, like I got my career, now I make $100,000 a day. I mean, a year. That'd be great. I was told that the girlfriend would appear if I invoke this demonic summoning.
And that is the problem that most of society is finding themselves in. Okay, there was a time when there was a specific script given to people within society that if they followed the general advice that the parents, the society, the people around them was given, if they followed that information to a T, that they would end up a valued member of society, a person who is somebody who is a functional member of society. However, that is not happening anymore. Okay, you can't just be somebody who gets an education. You can't be somebody who gets a job, a corporate job or whatever job it may be, and you are able to then have a family, that you are able to be somebody who is living that American dream life that most people fantasize about, that most people view on films, in media. It is not relevant to them anymore, okay? Because most people are being priced out. Most people are finding it a struggle to find the right type of job, a job that is paying you what you are worth, okay? Because if you look at, you know, employment charts against wages, against inflation, wages have been stagnant for the last 30-40 years, and inflation has been out of control, right? And which means basically the amount that you're earning, the purchasing power that you have is reducing year on year, more and more. And that is why you are seeing a imbalance in the dating market, because most men today, they can't afford to date. Okay, they are not able to pay their weight around in life, pay to build a life that is attractive to the females, to the opposite sex. It is something that is going unnoticed, and people are then, you know, when they find themselves in a situation like that, they are looking for answers. A lot of them, people, young men today, are end up blaming themselves, and then they go on the internet. They're like, what, is it something that's wrong with me? Because it is, it turns into self-hate, right? And it becomes depression because it is rage turned inwards, and it is depressing their soul. And then they find a guy like Dr. K who, probably tells them it is their fault. Um, and he gives them some advice that is not really relevant in today's society, in today's sexual marketplace.
Circle and put in the career and this and this, and the girlfriend will be like, what happened? A lot of people wonder, can a psychiatrist help you find a girlfriend? The answer is yes. And today we're going to
Of course, he's going to say yes because he is a psychiatrist, right? If he was to say no, then he'll be out of a job, he'll be out of business, because a lot of people, a lot of their, issues that they have either revolve around finances, career, um, dating, their love life. Um, it is really those domains, those three fields, their social life. You can add a fourth, and a lot of people, look at themselves within, if they're not successful in those three key areas or four areas, that there is something wrong with them, and then they turn to outside help, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, to help them figure out what is going on, what is wrong with them, how can they solve their problem, how can they improve the situation, and then if that help advice, if that precedence of seeking a psychiatrist for that type of help wasn't set, then this guy would be out of a job.
Tell you how. So this video could get me in trouble with some of my colleagues because
Well, right now he is in trouble with me because I'm here to judge him. I'm here to scrutinize his every single move. I'm here to find out what is it going on? What is he trying to say? What is he trying to do to today's young men, to his audience? Is his advice right? Is it correct? Let's delve in and find out.
when I was training in residency, I was a second year psychiatry resident. And we
I remember this is probably in the 90s. I'm guessing this guy is about, mid 40s. Let's call him 45. Benefit of the doubt, maybe 50. So he was in residency early 20s. So that is about 25 years ago. So early 2000s, late 90s, around that sort of time. And the world was a different place. This is pre-internet. This is pre-social media. This is pre-smartphones. And really, the big shift that happened in society happened around 2008, I believe, with the invention of the iPhone, with the invention of Instagram and Facebook really blowing out, with social media being a ways to communicate in this world, across the globe, which really started taking that shift, bringing about that imbalance within dating. And, social media had such a large impact that even if you look at, um, you know, suicide rates between girls aged 10 and under, right? It was non-existent before 2008. And then what do you have in 2008? That you have the implosion of social media, and with it, year on year, you know, female suicide under the age of 10 became a thing, whereas before it wasn't. And you have to look at a correlation that it is social media that has had that influence on young women. And then if social media has had an impact in that every area, those young women, it has had an impact if you look at the wider society, and dating being one of them.
had a awesome set of lectures on psychotherapy and what it means to be a psychotherapist and how to do psychotherapy in the right way. And these were taught by some really brilliant people, really amazing teachers, and I'm grateful to them for a lot of stuff. There are some things, though, that even as a student kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And we got this question. So one of our professors actually asked us this question directly. So I had a group of about 15 residents sitting in a conference room, and we were learning about psychotherapy. And they asked us, so if a patient walks into your office and asks you, can you help me find a girlfriend? This question was exactly the same. What is the right answer? And so stupid me and some of us, right? So I was like,
And he's always doing self-deprecation. He's always trying to put himself down, to make himself this bumbling fool, to paint a picture that he is an everyday man, but he is, on purpose trying to position himself as a relatable character, so that you are more likely to be like, oh yeah, look, man, like he's like me. I can get advice off that guy. Whereas here at Raw Instinct, we are all about advocating for our own, royalty, for our own, kingly nature. We are bringing about our own royal instincts out into the world. We are building kingdoms. We are here to conquer. We are here to put people into place, put the fake charlatans across the internet into their place, and we are here to establish kingdoms, to be seen as kings, because that is the only thing left to do, to establish nations, change the game, change the culture, change the way the world is run. The world is run by evil people, and we are here to bring about a new dawn for humanity.
yeah, the answer is like, yeah, we can help with that. And the professor was like, no, that's not entirely correct. The right answer is, why do you want a girlfriend? What makes a girlfriend?
How stupid is that, right? All throughout dawn of history, one of the main reasons why we are here on Earth is to procreate. It is to bring about a new lineage, to further your own lineage in society, in the world. It is literally one of the main drivers of human nature, of people in the animal kingdom, in all species. So to make it into a deeper question than what it is really discarding human nature. Okay, it is just trying to talk about something, a nothing burger, to make something out of nothing. And that is how these therapists sometimes take you down the wrong path into answering questions about motivations, which they make you try to realize a more profound way of looking at it, whereas really it is just biological. It is a biological impulse, and you have to adhere to it. Because as a social creature, you need that contact, you need sexual contact, you need social contact, and a deeper, meaningful relationship as well. So the question of why do you want a girlfriend is a stupid question to begin with, because as a therapist, I imagine you went to university and you should know why.
Important to you? What makes it hard for you to find a girlfriend? And those are all useful questions, don't get me wrong. But one of the reasons that I started this channel is because I felt like there was a lot of reluctance on the part of mental health professionals to take responsibility for important outcomes in their patients' lives, right? So as a profession, and there are like good reasons for this. I don't think that this is wrong, right? Because we as therapists and psychiatrists can't change your life for you. You have to change your life yourself. And at the same time, I think that attitude has sometimes led some therapists and psychiatrists to be very not outcomes focused. So they're kind of like, this is the joy of the nebulousness of.
So right now he's trying to position himself to deposition the status quo of other therapists and what their take is, and he's trying to come out with that he is different, that he has something new to say, that he has a different take. Let's see what this different take is, and if we agree.
Therapy, and like we're in this thing together, and there's transference and counter transference, and like,
I mean, I get it, it's a YouTube video, it has to be entertainment, but as a therapist, I expect better of him. It doesn't have to be all laughy, jokey all the time. Let's get serious. What is the answer?
what happens in the real world doesn't matter. And it's like really about the relationship, and like we can do this.
I mean, what therapist? Like, imagine if you're in a therapist's office and your therapist starts acting like this guy. If you ever do encounter that, I encourage you to walk straight out and get a refund, because a person like that is a woo-woo character. They are not there to help you. They are just there to be a theater kid, to perform theatrically and empty your wallet.
For years. So, I had a psychoanalytic supervisor who was great and taught me a lot of wonderful things. But one day they were telling me that, after 3 years of psychoanalysis, which is 4 times a week, by the way, their patient made a breakthrough. And then I was wondering, like, what were you doing for the first 2.5 years? Like, do we really need to go that slow? So when I work with patients who come in, and sometimes they're red pillars, black pillars, what have you, incels, right? I'm lucky enough to have worked with some of these people. And one of their primary goals is just finding a girlfriend. When people.
And that is his main demographic. It is red pillars, black pillars, incels, because those are the people most locked into the internet. That is kind of the prevalent meta going around. Gen Z young men, Zoomer men, basically the younger generation, because they have grown up in a world influenced by the internet. You have to look at the internet as a world of its own, right? You may live in your individual countries, you may live in the United States, in the UK, across Europe, wherever you live, right? You might live in Kenya, right? But those are just countries where you actually eat and sleep. However, your actual living experience is so is so much on the internet, right? Because you have to include all the social media that you consume, the media that you consume. Even Netflix is an internet company, right? It's an internet company because it has an algorithm, based off of what you watched before, and then it predicts what you might like in the future, right? And then that is a product of the internet. And you usually sign into a Netflix account via your web browser, okay? So much of our time, so much of our lives is on the internet, and that is where we are moving towards, which is why, you have companies like Facebook and Meta, who want you 24 hours plugged into the metaverse, which is why the World Economic Forum is building 15-minute cities so that you can, be inside your room, inside wherever you are residing, but you are doing your actual living experience online, in a virtual reality, plugged in. And one big reason for that is because the powers that be, the tech companies, the elites who are ruling the world, they want you in a predictable environment. They want to monitor you 24/7 to see what you're doing so that they can influence you, so that they can extract resources from you, and so that they can lead you into a position where you are totally reliant on them, and then they can extract all the resources out of you, from you, for their own agenda, whatever that may be. It is an evil one. And here at Raw Instinct, we are here to break it. We are here to usher in a new society. We are building new nations, building new kingdoms, alongside the other kings here at Royal Instinct, the Amicis, the Royal Alliance of Kings. We will, give the world an alternative, a better way, a newer way to live.
Hear about our coaching program, their first response is usually, why would I work with another human being? People think that, doctors are about treating things, right? So if I've got COVID or if I've got cancer, the reason I go to a doctor is for treatment. But I would say, honestly, 50% or more of our job is not treatment, it's diagnosis. And this is the biggest mistake that a lot of people who are single make. So if you're single in the world today and you think to yourself, how do I solve this problem? You go looking for solutions. You'll look at like dating Instagrams. You'll start watching these TikToks. You may sign up with a coach. You may you start solving the problem, right? Like, duh, I have a problem. I'm single. What do we do with problems? We solve them. That is actually the biggest mistake that most people make, because the first thing that you want to do if you have a problem is diagnose the problem. The question is, why don't you have a girlfriend? What makes it hard for you to have a girlfriend? What are the barriers or challenges that you face? And this is why a lot of solutions don't work, right? So people will say, I tried this, it didn't work. I tried this, it didn't work. I tried this and it didn't work. So I want y'all to think about this for a moment. If a patient comes in and says, I'm sick, and I'm like, no problem, bro. I've got treatments for you. Let's put an IV in your arm, give you some chemotherapy. And you're like, that didn't work. It's like causing me to...
I mean, we are literally 5 minutes into this video. He hasn't even given his own opinion, his own take. He's kind of going around, the houses. He is trying to, kind of deposition the alternatives, why other therapist methods are wrong, and he will give you his answer in a second once he discredits everybody else, all the other things that you have tried before. I'd rather he just get straight to the point and not waste our time. Let's carry on.
Have diarrhea and all my hair is falling out. I was like, no problem, bro. I've got some trained thinkers. I want y'all to really think about this for a moment, okay? So if we look at human beings, we have a brain, we have a mind, we have a body. And the human beings who are really good at stuff get formal training in that stuff. So I have two hands, but that doesn't make me an artist. I can draw some crap, but it's going to be crappy because I don't train to be an artist. I don't train to be a musician. The people who train to be musicians, the people who train to be athletes, the people who train their bodies in a very critical and specific way are the ones who become exceptional at using them. What is our training for thinking and using our mind?
And here at Raw Instinct, we move forward. Let's just delve into how to get a girlfriend in today's society. And this is what I noticed, that the current system of dating is broken, right? And if the current system is broken, the best thing to do, the best way to go about it is to establish a new game, a new system, a new way of moving through the world. And the best way to do it is to go back to the history, to the past, and see how kings managed it, okay? Because kings have an affluent life, they have the best life. And with today's technological advances, if you set yourself out as a king, then you can establish a kingdom and you will live better than any king that's ever lived in history, because we are living in the better times. The worst of times for most people, but the best of times for us here at Raw Instinct. And because we position ourselves as kings, it is only natural that all women who naturally see themselves as queens, right? they would want to be with a king. Okay, so you have to position yourself as a king, establish a kingdom, and naturally, once you have the authority and that power, it is only natural that women would line up to be queens in your kingdom. Um, what you have to also realize is a lot of the time, many people, um, they go about it. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to make YouTube videos. I'm going to become an influencer." The thing that we do here at Raw Instinct is we become, um, subject matter experts because we delve deep into what it is that we are most interested in, what we are most passionate about in life, and we establish subject matter expertise in that field. We become subject matter experts. We establish that authority, and once we have authority, it is so naturally that we can be a point of authority in people's lives. And once you have authority, you can take power and crown yourself kings, which is what we do here at Royal Instinct.
Very little, right? So we may learn some sort of mental training, but it's not training on the mind. It's training in a subject. So we may become an engineer or we may become a doctor. And so one of the cool things that we get formally trained in, and this is something that Daniel Kahneman got a Nobel Prize in economics for because he learned that human beings are not good at thinking. And so we get formally trained in critical thinking. And being a philosophy major doesn't count. There's a different way that we sort of do this. We go through this process of differential diagnosis. Philosophy major may get you halfway there. So even though you may have some idea
So it literally discredits all the philosophers, all the people who, philosophy, a big part of it, especially at university, is that you do a logics module, which is basically a critical thinking module. And they are literally trained to think critically, to assess critically. However, he just threw them in the bin. He discredited everything they had to do and to say, and therefore he doesn't value what they have to offer.
Of why you're single. This is another really wild concept. If you're single and you think you know what the problem is, there's a very high percentage chance that you are wrong. So that may sound really weird.
So then if you diagnose yourself to try and come up with a solution of why or a reason for why you are single, he now tells you to your face that you are wrong and that you need to seek out a therapist, a specialist to get the right answer. And who has the right answer magically right before you? It is him. Okay. He at the end will do a sales call, a sales letter to sell you his product, to deposition the alternatives in order for you to become a lifelong customer who would always need Dr. K's advice for the rest of his life.
But let's understand this as well. If you have a diagnosis of a problem, what we know about human beings is that they're usually pretty good at fixing problems. Like if you know, oh my God, my glass of water spilled. What do? You pick up the glass of water and you mop up the spill. Very simple. When human beings accurately know what the problem is, they're very good at fixing it. The number one reason why problems persist is because they've made a diagnostic error, not a treatment error. So let's think about this in medicine. So if you try one treatment and it fails, and if you try another treatment and it fails, and if you try a third treatment and it fails, and a fourth treatment and it fails, what do you think the problem is? Do you think the problem is in the treatment? Maybe if you have a very aggressive illness.
So right now, all he's doing is he's telling you most likely the way you are thinking about the problem is wrong, which is I can get what he is, but he isn't telling you how reality is working at this point, right? How are we as a society who doesn't now uses dating apps? The internet is used in meeting and dating and socializing. How do we use that information and that fact, right, into diagnosing this problem? Okay, right now, all he's doing is saying that you, as a person that is watching his content, you are wrong in the way that you look at it. And he is there to tell you how to correctly think, okay? But what is the correct way of thinking? How is he going to diagnose this problem? He has still not said anything in that realm.
That's fair enough. But most of the reasons why 6 treatments fail in a patient is because of a diagnostic problem. And we hear these horror stories, right? Oh, so the doctor thought that it was nothing. The doctor thought it was anxiety. Turns out I've got a tumor. Misdiagnosis leads to bad treatment, bad treatment, bad treatment, bad treatment. So this is where even Carl Jung talked about this in terms of the shadow. He sort of talked about the parts of ourselves that we ignore are where all of our problems arise from. So
right now he is ignoring actually talking about anything valuable, anything factual. He is literally just telling you why most other people are wrong and he is correct. Okay, but he has not even said anything for us to judge whether he is right or wrong. All he is telling you is that you need a therapist and giving you all the reasons why you should get therapy and seek his medical advice, his professional advice.
Even though a lot of people may think they know what the problem is in terms of why they don't have a girlfriend, in my overwhelming clinical experience, and this is true of other dimensions of life as well, it's probably a diagnostic problem. So the first thing that a therapist will do is really sit down with you and critically look at all of the things that you think are wrong, and may even help you understand other things that you didn't realize existed. And this is what we know from psychiatry, right? Because most
So you might be a person watching this video. You might be a person who is, trying to solve this problem of getting a girlfriend, and you stumble upon this video, and then now he is, really bringing about all these other issues that you may or may not even have. Right? It is like the equivalent of going to fix your car for an oil change, and next thing, the mechanic is upselling you. You need to get your brake lights changed, your brake pads changed. You need to, your engine's making a funny noise and need to get under the hood to have a look there. And then you went for something that should cost you maybe $200, and now he's racking up bill for $1,000, right? And that is the same what he's doing there. He is saying that the problem isn't just the fact that you can't get a girlfriend. It's like there is a whole host of problems that we have to now sit down and talk to for the next year in order to get to the root cause of that issue. Just get to the point, mate. What is the issue, right? Stop bigging up therapists. Let us know what your thoughts are.
Most people who come into therapy are not psychiatrists. Most of y'all have not been trained on things like attachment issues. Most of you don't realize that what's actually going on is a trauma response.
Really, through all the way throughout history, most people were able to date and manage relationships and procreate without knowing anything about attachment issues. Okay, whether you have attachment issues or not, right? Understanding it is great, but actually taking out action and implementing in real life is much better than understanding and taking notes and preparing. Because you might be somebody who's in therapy, who's trying to get yourself ready to put yourself in a position where you can achieve success, but you're like, oh, my therapist is like, I need a whole year to understand the root causes of the things, the reasons why I have self-doubt and low self-esteem. And while you are busy in a therapist office, in a therapy Zoom call over the internet, the people who are successful, they are out there implementing strategies. They are taking action. They are doing things in real life. And that is what we are all about here at Raw Instinct. We're here to put information into practice, to bring about new information, to bring out new results, for us to bring success to our kingdoms, to each other here at Raw Instinct. If you want to crown yourself a king, if you want success, you need to be here. Join Royal Instinct.
Most of you don't realize that your self-esteem is actually fear of being noticed, right? So this is like, oh, I feel really, I have low self-esteem and that's my problem. Well, what happens when someone compliments you? It makes me really uncomfortable. Well, do you want high self-esteem? Yeah, I'm tired of having low self-esteem. What happens when people compliment you? I don't know. I run away. And it's like, well, hold on a second. Let's think about this. If you're in a relationship and someone likes you, or not in a relationship, if someone likes you, what are they going to do? Well, they'll probably compliment you because they're like you. And then what are you going to do? You're going to be like, run away. It's like, did you realize that you were doing that? Oh, no, the problem is that people don't like me, or the problem is that I don't make enough money, or the problem is this. And so this is what I mean. It's like diagnosis is the biggest challenge.
The problem is that this advice is for very antisocial people. It is for very people with high social anxiety. And now I understand a lot of people have social anxiety, but the best way to beat it is to have the strength, to have the power to put yourself in that position, and to allow for you to maybe get a setback, maybe get failure, and for you to learn and extrapolate the lessons that you can take from it, and then go forward and rinse and repeat until you can master it, until you can get the results that you acquire. Instead of like this guy, having to talk about it for years and years before you do anything with your life.
So to critically look at yourself is very difficult to do. That's what the first thing that a good psychiatrist will do, help you diagnose your problems. Now we move on to step one, I guess. First thing that we actually work on is a sense of identity. So this is important to understand. Human beings who want relationships need to understand that a relationship is between two people. Okay, so a relationship is not.
Here at Raw Instinct, what we do is we create an identity to see ourselves as a king, to present ourselves as king, to present ourselves as a subject matter expert. And then once we have that identity locked in, it is only natural for people to bow down to our royal presence, for women to acknowledge that we are kings, and then they themselves, who self-select to be queens, will let you know. They will line up down the block to be part of your kingdom, to sit next to you on your throne while you live a life of luxury, while you live a life that you totally enjoy within your castle walls.
About one person. It's not about a second person. It is a third thing that is created between two people. So one of the biggest problems that I see in people who are looking for girlfriends and people who are looking for boyfriends is that their sense of identity is kind of flawed or problematic. So
The reason why many people have flawed identities is because all in all, every human being has the capacity to be a king. They have that royal instinct within them, but it is your decision to bring it out. Now, society ends up crushing you. It ends up making you depressed because it turns your fears against you, your self doubts. It doesn't allow for you to become successful, for you to allow to express yourself and be successful, and therefore it crushes your soul. It crushes your identity into a pile of dust, where you really think low of yourself, where you really think that you can't really do much in this world, that you are somebody who is not worthy. Okay. And I'm somebody who, I followed society's script. I went to university. I thought, once I get a degree, I will have a good job and then my life will turn out great. Okay. But, so I went to university, I got a degree, I climbed the corporate ladder. And then once I realized that, that all this hard work that I'm putting in, that I'm not getting the rewards that I wanted, I'm not getting the respect that I wanted, whilst, people at the top, the elites, are living a life of luxury, that they are living, a life that you can't even imagine, right? That they are not working off of hard work, that they are working off of nepotism. I looked at the system, I looked how the world is panned out, how the elites use control to suffocate and depress people in society. And I decided that I do not want to be part of that society, that I do not want to be part of that game. And then I made a decision to establish my own game, that I want to be out of the system, above the system. I want to create a new system, which is why here on Raw Instinct, I'm here. I'm not here to be a YouTuber. I'm not here to, make money on YouTube. I'm here to send a message out to the people who understand what it is that I'm saying, who are like me, who want to do something new. They want to bring about change, bring about a new world for the people to live in, to bring about, you know, a new game, a new system to allow themselves to go further than they ever imagined. And what you have to do is you have to minimize your self-doubt, you have to demolish it, you have to minimize your fears, you have to get over your fears, be seen as a subject matter expert, which is you delving deep into something that you are most passionate about and building a kingdom around that. Okay. And if you're like me, if you understand what it is that I'm trying to do, I'm sending out a bad signal to you, right? If you get what I'm trying to do, right, this is your opportunity, this is your chance to be the main character, to become somebody who is seen as a hero, to go on the hero's journey, for you to become an Avenger. I'm assembling the Avengers, become part of Raw Instinct, join the Alliance of Kings, the Amichis that I'm building here, and together we can conquer. We'll be side by side, conquering new nations, defeating evil, and being the new de facto rulers of the earth.
Their sense of self is somewhat negative. They don't really understand how they perceive themselves. There's some aspects of themselves that they really believe are true, which don't have to be true. So I'll give you like a really simple example. I'm a morning person. I'm a night owl. Or I'm someone who doesn't like, my love language is this, or my love language is that. They have certain...
Here at Raw Instinct, our love language is success. Our love language is to win. And naturally, everybody wants to be with a winner, and people will want to be part of your kingdom, okay? If you position yourself correctly in this world, you will gain all the power, you will gain all the resources, all the things that you ever imagined, that all the things that you ever wanted will line up, the stars will align, and the glory will be yours.
Ideas of who they are that actually will seriously interfere with their capacity to engage in a relationship. So practically what this means is asking yourself questions like, how do you see yourself? Who are you? And it doesn't just stop there. The really important thing that we do as therapists is oftentimes asking the next question, which is, where does this view of yourself come from? So if someone says, I'm a loser, they can point to certain experiences in their life where they lost.
Most people think that they are losers. Most people think that they are, that they have low self-esteem, that they are not worthy, because, they might take past failures and blame it on themselves. Okay. And that leads to self-doubt and fears within their own head. However, we remove those fears, we remove those self-doubts here at Raw Instinct. And once you remove the self-doubt that is holding you back, you are free and clear to launch your personality onto the world, to blast out your charisma into the world, into the universe. And once you are able to do that on a consistent basis, the people will align, they will recognize you as a king, as a power to and a force to be reckoned with. And then once you are seen to be successful, people will fall into place. Everything that you ever wanted, all the goals that you want to achieve, will naturally come towards you. You will achieve them. You will be successful.
And so then they sort of integrate those experiences into an identity and they say, I am a loser now. But the crazy thing is that if we more critically look at those experiences, if we re-examine them, reinterpret them, consider other kinds of problems, really high on the list is like people with low self-esteem whose parents got divorced. So this is really, really common. Divorce is an adverse childhood experience that increases the risk of things like depression and addiction. But when someone is struggling with an addiction, they don't think to themselves, the reason that I'm addicted is because I have low self-esteem, and the reason that I have low self-esteem is because my parents got divorced. But fundamentally, what we know is when parents get divorced, they don't usually have the same amount of time and attention for their children. This is a disruptive experience for a child. So a child whose parent is not there.
So right now we are, let's have a look. We are 12 minutes into this video about how to get a girlfriend, right? And he's apparently going to give you the solution and offer you help. And he is so busy talking about your childhood, your trauma from your parents' divorce. Wouldn't you just rather him just shut up and just give you the fucking answer? And a lot of the time, a lot of these people will waste your time. They want to prolong your issues that you have. I am all about just solving your issues, solving your problems, so that we can head towards success, so that we can gain success, instead of just talking about our feelings and talking about nonsensical issues like this.
What conclusion does the child arrive at? I'm not worth their time. So this then gets integrated into their experience. Now I'm sensitive to not being worth enough for other people's time. I'm not worth it. I'm not as good as other people. This creates a cognitive filter, which then when I go to class and I raise my hand, but the teacher calls on this one other person, this one day, I feel really, really, really embarrassed. And I feel like the teacher likes that person more than me. And so what we start to do is we start to have this very interesting cognitive filter that reinforces our beliefs and develops a sense of identity. So really the first step that I have with people when I work with them is asking themselves, tell me about yourself. What do you think about yourself? And also, what were the experiences?
When I work with my clients, the first question that I ask them is, what is the self-doubt that you carry with most? And usually the thing that they say first is, the most pressing issue. And we try to get rid of that self-doubt. We try to remove it. Once that self-doubt has been removed, they are free and clear to go for the goals, to achieve success
that led you to those conclusions. And this is really important for a relationship because, like we said, a relationship is between you and another person. So what are you bringing to the table? Who are you entering into the relation? Like what are you putting into the relationship, right? The partner brings one person in and you get to bring another person in. What is the quality of the person that you are bringing in? Are you bringing in a loser? Are you bringing someone who has low self-esteem? Are you bringing someone who's a virgin and hasn't been able to convince anyone to have sex with them yet? Right? So when you bring these things into a relationship, that can cause a lot of problems because people are empathic. So when you feel like a loser, someone else will empathically get that negative energy from you. The other big problem that we see with this lack of identity work is people will try to artificially increase their confidence. So they'll go to pickup artists, they'll go to red pill, they'll do all these kinds of things like negging. Yeah, so I feel bad about myself.
So, I mean, in pickup artistry, that negging is like a term from the early 2000s. So I noticed that he uses the example of pickup artistry quite a lot. So I imagine that, in that time, during that phase of his life, he was possibly a pickup artist. He attempted to be a pickup artist in order to get laid, in order to find a woman, because he has some insight into it, into how that world works.
And so in order to feel not inferior to you, I'm going to knock this person down a peg. And if I knock this person down a peg, then I will feel like I'm less inferior, and then I will feel like equals, and then I will feel confident. But it's a toxic kind of thing. And by the way, it's not just verbally negging. I've worked with so many people who knock people down a peg or elevate people in their own mind, right? They'll look for reasons. I really, really like this person, but I don't want to be rejected by them.
Yeah, I mean, it's only natural because human beings need to understand where they are located within the social hierarchy, and therefore, they will try to assume, oh, this person's a lot stronger than me, this person's more powerful than me, this person's a lot richer than me, so I'm not better than them. But these people, they are, not as civilized as me, they're not as educated as me, so therefore they are lower than us. People naturally do that. It is part of the human psyche, it's part of human instinct to put yourself up in a hierarchy and to find out where you fit in. Here at Raw Instinct, we are not part of any hierarchy. We we get out of the hierarchy and go straight to the top because we form our own pyramids, we form our own network of elites, we form our own Raw alliances here at Raw Instinct, which is why we are always winning, we are always conquering, we will be victorious.
So what am I going to do in my head? I'm going to knock them down a peg so that when I inevitably get rejected, it doesn't hurt as much, right? So all this crap, I know I'm kind of rapid fire giving y'all examples, comes down to this concept of identity. And until you understand who you are, you cannot authentically present yourself in a relationship. One last thing that we'll talk about is if you don't like who you are authentically, you'll put on a mask and then you will become someone else. And then this creates a problem because who do they fall in love with? They don't fall in love with the real you. They fall in love with an artificial version of you. And the longer you go in the relationship, the harder it becomes to maintain that facade. And so even though you can sometimes get into a relationship, it can create all kinds of negative problems. The second thing that I work on a lot is focusing on anhedonia and the source of internal pleasure. Now, this becomes incredibly important, especially in the modern dating age. So anhedonia is the inability to derive pleasure from activities.
So I've seen a lot of videos online about anhedonia, and I think a lot of people are they are depressed, right? But anhedonia is the actual physical inability to experience any type of pleasure. And I really think a lot of people misdiagnose themselves as having that, that type of problem, because it is usually a lack of serotonin, or the inability to produce serotonin at all in your body, which leads to anhedonia. Whereas which basically means you can't feel any pleasure. But I think for most people, if you put them into the right scenario that they wish that they could attain, instantly they would feel pleasure, right? Because I mean, that people with anhedonia can't even feel pleasure eating like tasty food, right? However, I'm sure most people who say they have anhedonia still are able to taste and enjoy food. It is just that the fact that there isn't anything that piques their interest in life, and therefore they misdiagnose it, saying that they can't find any pleasure because they're not even attempting to do so.
Look at the way that dating used to be about 30 or 40 years ago. There were some amount of rejections.
Okay, so now he's talking about 30, 40 years ago, right? But what has changed, Dr. K? What has changed in the last 30 to 40 years where the dating used to be like that and now it's like this, right? Because you're using examples from 30, 40 years ago to diagnose current problems, but those problems don't even apply, and those problems never existed before in humanity, right? So we are now with up against new hurdles, new problems, which you are failing to address in this video. You haven't mentioned them once. Let me know what your thoughts are. What is the situation? You are not giving us any straight answers.
Some successes. Dating pool is pretty small. It's not like the person that you're interested in has a choice from the 8 billion people on the internet. So it was like things were a little bit different. You had a lot more organic interactions. People weren't on their screens all the time. So like,
yes, okay. Now people weren't on their screens a lot, okay? Now we're getting somewhere, right? So what is the solution for the current problems, not the problems that we experienced 20, 30, 40 years ago?
That was the way that we evolved. So all of our circuitry in its default form formed connections with other people by just kind of hanging out with them. Proximity between two people is important for romantic attraction. So that can be physical proximity, that can also be proximity of ideas. So this concept of like kindred spirits, but essentially closeness to another person really helps us develop relationships.
And here at Raw Instinct, what we do is we position ourselves as subject matter experts till the point that we are seen as experts and have authority, are seen as points of authority. And naturally, then people will follow you. They will seek your advice. The people who understand who you are, what you are about, and then they will develop a relationship in their mind towards you, good feelings towards you. And if you choose to do so, you can start friendships like that. You can start you can find a business partner like that and a romantic partner like that. Okay, but it all comes from positioning yourself as a point of authority, as somebody who is important, as a king, right? And once you're seen as a king on the internet, on the new world that is the internet, then it is only natural that you can have a following and that you will have people wanting to be with you, wanting to join you, wanting to take in part in whatever it is that you are doing.
Now, what on earth does this have to do with what you derive pleasure from? So the dating world that we live in today has way more setbacks than it used to. So now you have to get rejected 80 times before you get a single yes if you're a dude on a dating app, right? There's a very, very lopsided experience for dating. It's way easier to ghost people. It's way easier to not return people's calls. So if we look at like the amount
Here at Raw Instinct, we do not chase. We are not on dating apps, okay? Instead, we position ourselves to be seen as kings and allow the world to work around us, okay? People, once you are a king, once you are seen as a king, once you are seen as a point of authority, people will naturally reach out to you and wanting to date you, wanting to get to know you more, okay? And then once you have a system where people are coming to you, it is much easier to pick and choose who you want to spend your time with, who you want to be around with, who are the right people. Okay, you need to be very critical. You need to be you need to have higher standards for yourself. Okay, be choosy with who you allow into your castle, into your kingdom. Within your castle walls, and get rid of the people that you believe will be a nuisance, get rid of the people who are time wasters, get rid of the people who do not align with you, do not spend any time with those people. They need to get out of your vicinity, they need to get out of your kingdom so that you can be with those people that you're supposed to be with.
Amount of rejection that people experience, I honestly believe it is higher than it has ever been, and is really past this critical human brain threshold of how much rejection we can handle. On one day, someone will swipe right on 50 people on Tinder and get rejected from all of them. The way that we evolved, we probably didn't even get rejected by 50 people over the course of our whole life. That kind of impact on our brain is like pretty significant. I think it's not 100% the same, but like each of those impacts hurts us in some way. Some part of our brain is processing that rejection. So in order to deal with these setbacks, one of the biggest things that I work on is helping people derive pleasure from the right things. So the default way that we derive pleasure is we derive pleasure from outcomes, right? So I feel good about getting a trophy, not studying for 100 hours. I feel good about the accolades, the accomplishment. I feel really good about when I ask someone out, what naturally makes me feel good. What naturally makes me feel good is when someone says yes. So what we have to do is actually recalibrate, because the amount of rejection in the world today is so high that if you derive your pleasure from accomplishments, you will get so freaking depressed so easily. And that's what we see. We see a group of people who are like, I'm done with dating, right? South Korea has a birth rate that I think is less than 1.0. So they're losing population at an alarming rate. So many people are mentally checked out of dating.
So basically what he's doing is he's telling you to reframe, instead of hoping for an outcome, that you are enjoying the journey instead, right? That that the fact that you are swiping right on people and nobody's answering back, as long as you keep swiping, right? So you make that the criteria of success instead of the actual outcome, the goal that you are working towards, right? That is the wrong way to do it. Okay, you need to sit down, figure out in life, what is it that interests you? Okay, what is it, what you are most passionate about? What is it that you want to do with your time? And whatever those answers are, okay, you need to delve deeper, you need to go into that, right? If you enjoy doing something, do more of it, right? And then you won't have anhedonia, because you are in your life purpose, you are experiencing pure joy, interest from the things that you are most passionate about, right? And then from there, once you are in your life purpose, once you are doing the things that you should be doing, that you want to be doing with your time, you are developing more knowledge and more insight on that subject than anyone else can do, because you can outwork a person like that. Because most people will be like let's say making pottery, right? Like if somebody's paid to make pottery versus somebody like you who is passionate about pottery, right? You'll be able to outwork that person, because the person who does it just as a job, once it's time to go home, they'll go home and switch off. Whereas you, who's passionate about it, you're able to outwork a person like that. Even if you only outwork that person by 1 hour, that 1 hour over a year stacks up to 365 hours, right? So you are then, by the end of 1 year, 365 hours ahead of this person. Okay. And if you stack that result over and over again, right, you create such a huge gap of experience and knowledge that you will be an expert compared to the other person, right? They'll be good at it, but you, on the other hand, will be an expert. And that is what we are doing here at Raw Instinct. We're diving deep into your zone of genius, your zone of interest, establishing you as a subject matter expert. And then once you are seen as an expert, as an authority, we build kingdoms around that. We buy private islands. We are building nations, and we will be making our own rules here at Raw Instinct. Right, you'll be joining the other kings alongside myself, working side by side, building side by side, ready to go to war side by side to each other, and to defeat our enemies, the common enemies that we have, to establish a new ruling class, a new system in place of the evil world elite that we have right now.
Getting mentally checked out of life. And that happens as long as we are outcome oriented. So I work really hard on helping people understand, okay, what can you be proud of in this world? Can you derive pleasure from action? Can you be proud of yourself for, even though someone said no, you were still doing all the things that you can control? So I went to the gym today.
Yeah, so he's basically, using Albert Camus' philosophy, imagine Sisyphus smiling, okay? The myth of Sisyphus. Like he wants you to doing, pushing a boulder up the hill, working as a slave, but doing it with a smile on your face, which is great. Sometimes you need to be in a zone like that in your life, okay? But do you want to be in a position like that for the rest of your life? I reject that. I reject that claim. I do not want to be part of it. I am trying to find something. The kings here at Raw Instinct are trying to find something that we are good at, something that we are passionate about, that we are able to do better than nobody else, so that we don't have to, so that that part that he's talking about becomes natural, right? Then, for example, if you enjoy reading sci-fi, okay, reading sci-fi isn't a task to you then, right? It is an enjoyable experience. Every page that you go, reading, flicking through is an enjoyable experience. So then the task itself becomes enjoyable, right? That he's trying to get to that, but he's going about it the wrong way. He's trying to tell you, that you should be looking at it and enjoying the process, right? But he's not saying that the thing that you're doing, right, should be enjoyable to you in the first place, right? So let me explain that again. He's telling you to approach dating, right? And if you don't enjoy it, to enjoy the process of it, right? Whereas I'm saying, like, if you don't enjoy dating, don't do it. Establish yourself as a king, and then let the dating come to you. Do you get it? We're trying to circumvent the whole system. We're trying to turn it upside down. We are trying to get all the results with the efforts from only the things that we enjoy doing in this life.
I ate healthy today. I volunteered today, and I asked this girl out. She said no, but I'm still happy with the day. So what I see a lot in people who struggle.
See, what he's doing there is it's a forced happiness. It's a forced happiness. It's like you're trying to find, you're trying to be grateful. You're trying to find the goodness out of something. You're trying to make it good, the positive spin on something which isn't even there sometimes, right? Like if someone rejects you and calls you a fat cunt, right? Like, I mean, like you got insulted to your face, right? why put yourself in a position to be even insulted, right? Whereas he'll be like, oh well, look for the good in that situation.
To find girlfriends is they place so much weight or importance in the girlfriend. I'm an incel. This is literally an identity that is based upon your sexual history, the wholeness of who you are, how you identify. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a doctor, I'm a good person, I'm a bad person. I am an incel, can be based on this identity. So what we really want to do is focus on the actions as opposed to the outcomes. And when we
But how does that help in modern dating, right? Like focus on the actions, great. I get all that, but he hasn't explained the actual dating process in 2026, right? I think this video is from last year, so in 2025, he hasn't explained any of that, and he's just telling you to enjoy the process of utter humiliation of putting yourself out there, getting rejected over and over again, getting no results, but to enjoy the process, right? It's I get what he's trying to say, but it is the wrong approach. And this is the other thing here at Raw Instinct. What we're doing here isn't for everybody, right? Most people can't do what we are doing. We are the chosen ones. Because we choose ourselves, right? It is not and it's not by God. It's not by a higher power. We are the higher power. Okay, we are the people in charge. We are the people who determine our own destinies. We are establishing our own authority, having dominion over our own life. And because we have that power within ourselves, we deserve better results. We deserve to be in charge when nobody else has the balls to do it, because we are, the people who want to bring about change in this life. Okay. And most people are just too scared to do it.
This one really important thing happens. So right now, the system of dating works like this. I'm interested in dating someone. I put forth effort. I get rejected. Once I get rejected, this hurts. This hurt then leads to avoidance, right? So if we look at this system, effort, rejection, pain, avoidance. This is the system. Then what do you have to do? You have to overcome that avoidance using willpower. You have to dig really deep. And now you're not relaxed. You're not happy. You're not attractive. You're someone who's desperate and empty on willpower and forces yourself into the dating realm, even though you don't feel good about it. And then that empathically people are going to pick up on. If y'all have seen online dating, you know how messed up people are, how much baggage they carry, right? You message one person, they're like, screw you. Oh, like they read way too much into your words, and they get really offended by some small thing that you said. Like you're like, hey, where do you feel like going? Oh, a man is supposed to take charge. Like I'm not gonna date anyone who's indecisive. I'm looking for someone who's masculine. And then the next thing you do is you date someone else, and you're like, hey, how about we go to this place? Oh, screw that. I don't want to date a man who tries to take charge. I believe in
And you see where he's going wrong there. He's going to woman to woman to woman. Right? He's like, oh, let's do this. And she rejects him. Then he goes to woman two, let's do this. She rejects him too. You go to woman three, right? Instead of going individually, here at Raw Instinct, we broadcast to the world who we are, okay? And then we let you, the people watching, decide whether you want to be part of our lives or against us, okay? And because we are establishing kingdoms, because we are building nations, because we are living lives of luxury, because we are going where no person has ever been before, it is only natural that most people would want to be a part of that, our situation with the things that we've got going on, to be part of our crew, our group of royal kings, the royal alliance that we are building here. Most people see that and they are like, oh, I wish I could be a part of that, okay? But because then they want to join us, we are very selective, okay? We only let the right people in. We only allow people in who are aligned with what we are doing spiritually, with the beliefs that we hold, with the values that we have. We are choosing the best people on earth. And then when shit hits the fan, when things go wrong, when the great wars to come are here, it is only right that we, alongside our armies, take over the globe. We will establish new nations and be the people, the final winners.
Equality and feminism. And it's no matter what you do, you get screwed, right? There's no, the number of negative outcomes is astronomical. And if that hurts you and then leads to avoidance, it's just going to create a vicious cycle. So instead, what we want to do is be positively reinforced by our efforts. We want to learn to derive pleasure from our actions, not our outcomes. If you guys struggle with that,
Yeah, and to do that, you need to find something that you are genuinely interested in already, right? And it might be even collecting Pokemon cards. It might be something as benign as silly as that. That, oh, I really enjoy collecting Pokemon cards. Okay, and here at Raw Instinct, what I would help you do is build a life purpose around your hobby. Okay, become a subject matter expert at collecting Pokemon cards. Okay, you know, broadcast to the world. Okay, there is so many people around the globe who are interested in Pokemon cards, in collecting Pokemons, who want to pick your brain about something, right? And those are the people who will follow you. Those are the people who will take part in your kingdom. Those are the people who need you to save them. Um, and those are the people who need a leader, right? Because that is what the world needs right now. They need leaders. We need heroes. We need people to take charge, because the heroes and the leaders that we've got right now, I mean, there are no heroes, right? They are non-existent. But the leaders that we have cannot be relied upon. They cannot be trusted. They are letting us down, which is why we are here, which is why I'm here, sending out a message to you to be the hero that the world needs, to take charge of your life, to become somebody who is prepared to risk it all, to live a life of absolute luxury, to live a life at the top, to be a king. Crown yourself a king today. The choice is yours. But that is it for today. Thank you very much. And I will see you tomorrow.